Welcome to the Jacob Wayne Show. I am your Jacob Wayne, and with me again is my boy, the insatiable Kellen Gibbons. How are you?
I'm back.
Yeah.
Survived the Rona. We made it.
Back. Feeling all good?
Yeah. It did not hit me too hard at all. I started feeling good like pretty much the night it was the worst. I started to feel better already. So
yeah. Did it spread through your house a little bit? I guess I didn't even think about that.
Well, no, I was actually out house sitting. So I was quarantined already.
Kind of perfect.
I just stayed out there. Yeah, it was actually the perfect time. It's also the worst time, but turned out to be, you know.
You had a sauna though. So you could even like get all that Rona right out.
Yep. Just sweat it out.
Fuck yeah. Yep. Man, I would love to have a sauna when I was sick.
It is pretty nice.
Just be like, just get all this nonsense out of me.
Now, apparently there is a cheaper option, not as nice looking, but you can just get like a canvas tent and like put one in your backyard. You know, it's Corey's discussed that.
That is more of a Corey's thing than a Jacob thing, I will say that.
Yeah.
But I like the idea. That was actually a thing in that wilderness program that I've talked about on this show.
Oh yeah.
That one of the major projects you could do if you got to your base camp quick enough was making your own sauna. And I think it required, you know, kind of making like a rounded kind of hut thing with branches, and then you put your tarps around it, and then you get a bunch of like heat rocks from the fire, and then throw it into a thing that you've gathered of water and let that steam up in there. And we talked about it once, but you know, that was like a group of 5 to 6 teenage boys and 2 not so old adults. Yeah. It's like, the cohesiveness of getting that project done isn't really going to happen. So it never happened. Maybe one day we'll do that in the backyard. Go gather sticks from other people's backyards and, you know, stab them if they fight. Yeah. Yep. Just like a javelina. What are you sipping on today? We're doing this in the afternoon.
Yep. So I got a chai tea from Crumb Brothers 2. They make their own. They make their chai in house. It is very, very delightful. Pretty tasty stuff.
So, nice. I got the Private Selection roasted hazelnut.
Ooh, classic. That's a good one.
Yeah. So you've had this?
I think so, yeah.
I was gonna say I'm pretty into the flavor on this one. It's not like the most pricey, but just grabbed it at the grocery store.
Yeah. Dude, Private Selection's bomb. Good. Yeah. They got like all their stuff, all the Private Selection things I've had. They have some like almonds with some kind of covering on them that are really good. They got some ice cream, like Ben and Jerry's style, all crazy fancy flavors.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. The hazelnut's really good, but it has like kind of a little bit of a, I guess that might be the nuttiness, but a little kind of chocolatey kind of flavor to it almost.
Yeah.
With that, any interesting foods since last I talked to you?
I did try a new pizza place here in Logan, which if we have many, I still haven't tried all the pizza places that are here, and apparently we're getting another one. I heard. So
not
I don't
to
know.
Interrupt, but that's always been
No,
my problem with Logan
right?
is they have
Yeah.
really good food by a lot of like places standards, but they like zone in on such particular things.
Yep.
And I want to blame Mormons. I don't know if it's entirely Mormons' fault, but I don't know. Maybe it's just fucking Midwest, smaller town fault or whatever, but it's a lot of really
Yeah.
good Mexican food. And to be fair, pretty Americanized Mexican food, but
Yeah.
still really good. And then,
Lots of it.
yeah, pizza and
And then
burgers.
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, Chick-fil-A, yeah. And then,
Ugh,
oddly enough, kind of like Hawaiian something or other will always pop up.
yeah,
That is a Mormon thing
big time.
because of the Samoan
Yep.
exploitation.
Yep.
Not the
But
Samoans are exploiting Mormons; it's the other way around.
no,
Don't get
that's
me wrong.
why, yeah, there's such a large population.
Yeah,
Which that I am thankful for. That's the one good thing they do food wise here. I do like that stuff. There's only one now. There's only one Hawaiian place left.
you know, in a weird way, when I was growing up as a young Mormon lad, which only lasted till I was 13, just for people that are keeping track of the timeline. 13, that's when I reached the age of reason and left.
Ah,
But I remember being a little thankful that Mormons had converted so many Samoan people because it's like, finally get some culture in here.
yeah.
Because it was just so much like bland olives in your jello, white people nonsense.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Then,
okay, like we're getting some recipes, like burying the pig in the sand
yeah.
thing, and okay.
Yeah.
But
I
then
remember doing that.
then you get older and you're like, oh, they're going over there and converting them and exploiting the. That's sad. But
Yeah.
people are people; they made their decisions, so
Yep.
doesn't matter where you come from. You can always end up being a dumb Mormon.
Indeed. Stupidity is available to all.
It's the great equalizer. Well, we started off on a hateful note, but like,
Yay. But good
oh,
food, right? I didn't even
food.
say what I was talking about.
Yeah,
We,
sorry. Go
we
ahead.
went off on
Pizza.
Logan.
What was? Yeah, just too many
So,
pizza joints, too many
yeah,
Mexican food joints. It's like, where's the Thai, the pho? And they are improving, but blah. Anyway,
yeah,
continue.
yeah. We this the cool thing about this is it's a new style of pizza place. It's they say it's Chicago, but they call it the Chicago thin crust. And so it's like that really tiny, the little tiny squares. You cut up the pizza into like nines, and it's pretty thin little crust, but
Is
it
that a
was
thing?
tasty. Yeah,
I want to talk about that to like a Chicago person.
thin thin
Chicago
crust,
thin crust. The fuck you talking about?
deep dish.
Yeah, like I've been following. I can't remember if we talked about this, but I've been following this pizza snob page, and basically it's just a microcosm of the same shit you see everywhere on the internet. It's just people
Uh-huh.
fighting about what the right pizza is. That isn't pizza. This is pizza. And then people just trolling those people like, I got something from Domino's. Fuck you.
Nah.
It's
Yeah.
people fighting. It's not like, look at this unique, interesting pizza I got.
Oh.
Like, it's a pepperoni, but we decided to put like sesame seeds on the crust. They're like, that isn't fucking pizza. And it's just like, so as soon as you're like
Yeah.
Chicago thin crust pizza, like what it
I
was, it's like
get
pizza
the
from
hell out of town.
Cincinnati and some shit. Or
Can't put
sure. I
spaghetti on it.
can't do a Chicago.
The Cincinnati.
And put that on the Cincinnati down there, the best. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
It could be
It's
better.
it's better than anything I could do. So,
You know, it was pointed out to me once
what's that?
is not to me directly. It was actually Patrice O'Neill on the O&A show. He pointed out that the Joker from The Dark Knight has a Chicago accent.
Oh,
He's from Chicago. Like, you notice how I got these scars? And like, I was like, huh?
huh,
Chicago. And they filmed the movie in Chicago and
huh.
made kind of a big to do about it. And it's very like much a tribute to the movie Heat. And I think that
Oh,
also took place in Chicago, but I'm not totally sure on that
interesting.
one. But I was like, oh, that's like Chicago style Joker.
Huh. Nice.
My favorite Joker. So I don't know. It has been
He's
my goal to try the Chicago style pizza. Shockey
hmm,
got a frozen pizza from the store that was in that style, I think.
yeah.
That was pretty tasty, but also frozen pizza from the store kind of level. So I didn't let
Yeah.
it frame my entire approach to it. But
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I really dig all kinds of pizza. I like weird toppings. I like tradition. Actually, I don't like the most traditional topping. I'm not a big fan of just pepperoni. Not my thing. But um, everything else, I'm good on. This the one I had from this place actually was they're from Grand Junction. Is their original restaurant, I think. So they have a green chili chicken pizza that was very
Mm.
good.
So you're a pizza anarchist.
Oh yeah, I'll put anything on there. I'll make a pizza on a pineapple.
You're a wild man. I was thinking about recently, for those that don't know, Kellen and I used to work at the same pizza restaurant, Pizza Plus.
Oh, and that the place was in the old Pizza Plus building.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
The later one. I think you were gone by the time they moved, but
Oh, like near Lee's or whatever.
yeah, that one.
Um, anyway, the I almost made the jalapeno bacon bombs
Oh
this
shoot.
last weekend, but I was like, nah, I gotta get responsible groceries. It was
Oh
like that
man.
was just a little too much. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do it eventually, but yeah, with the air fryer, kind of try that whole thing out.
Oh man. Next time I'm there, we doing
Yeah, maybe we
that.
should do that. We can get pizza dough from Whole Foods, which I just noticed, and we could
Oh,
probably do the breadsticks too,
hell yeah.
because that is something I miss from Pizza Plus. Everything else, kind of like other, I guess, community friends,
Yeah.
shitting on high school
You know,
kids.
the one thing that was other thing I did like that no other place has done that I've seen is the garlic bread sandwiches. Those were pretty tasty. I did like those.
I could make a really good sandwich. I kind of forgot about that, but
Mm,
you didn't work the mornings too often. So did you
no,
interact with those guys that worked upstairs? They were like ad artists or ad designers or something like that.
no, I never met them.
So they would like, come down and kind of bullshit and chat with us every now and again. They were pretty
Hmm.
cool guys and got to the point where they figured out I could make these like sandwiches if they just waited a minute and then like just give me some time, and then when I got the downtime I'll make sure it's real nice. And
Yeah.
so, usually I'd give some kind of dish like a goofy name. Like there was my Alfredo red pepper pizza with the chicken and bacon. It was like the bomb as fuck.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, the sandwich, he would come down. I was like, dude, could you make one of those pastrami sandwiches, please? This is
Oh
like,
lordy.
you got it. So they were pretty cool cats.
Nice. What did you
Um,
do to the sandwich? Or do you just do it?
honestly, can't
Just
totally remember, but I made sure it was dank. It was spicy, like
Ooh,
jalapeno pastrami,
yeah.
lots of different cheeses.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, just things like that.
Indeed.
But I think the only thing on my end with food is I finally found a American style diner cafe here in Fort
Oh
Collins.
yeah, I saw the Insta post. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to take you there. They have like world famous cinnamon rolls, I guess.
As big as your head.
No, they're regular size,
Oh, okay,
unless
good.
you're a tiny man. But the inside is really cool. It does have like kind of this big, wide open area, old school vibe, lots of different
Nice.
counters in different areas. And they sat us back like right by the kitchen. And I kind of like that hustle and bustle though. It's just
Yeah.
like all this little restaurant stuff going on around you, and you're just sitting there on the little stool. I got the chicken fried steak and eggs, and just the lady was super nice. She's like, "We'll keep that coffee coming," and just doing that whole
Yep.
thing. And I was like, "Hell yeah!" and like almost got the steak and eggs, which is pretty straightforward, but I love that for breakfast sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, anyway, the restaurant is the oldest restaurant in northern Colorado.
Yeah, I was like, what was the year? It was pretty
It's
crazy.
been the Silver Grill Cafe since 1933, but has roots going back to 1919 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
And yeah, they've had, you know, national, even international recognition for certain things. And I just think
Nice.
they're like really solid. The eggs were great, steak was great, gravy was
Hell yeah.
great, it was all great. So
Nice.
that was my food thing.
Apparently, we got a new diner here in Logan that's pretty killer. I still haven't tried it yet, but like everybody that goes there is like, yes, this place is awesome. So,
Where's
uh,
that?
it's where Wingers used to be, pretty much
All
like directly west of me down on Main, and that
right.
by the cheap theater.
All right. Well, cool.
Yeah,
We'll have to try that next time I'm out there.
for
And
sure.
with that, it's time for music.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got going on in music? Any
Well,
personal things coming up? Anything you've listened to?
I had a kind of just been with the corona. I had a lot of time to practice, so that's what's been going on in my musical world. I actually like got more practice time in than I've had in a long time over the last couple of weeks. Worked up a
So you
little
wrote a bunch of cloud faculty stuff, right?
well, I did write some stuff. It could be cloud faculty. Actually,
All right.
I also found a bunch of my old techno songs from forever ago that sound like Mortal Kombat fight music, that
Nice.
kind of techno. And I kind of put them into I found I could just put them into my studio program and it just does it. And so I can just go in and actually make them sound pretty good. So been messing
Yep.
around with that. It's been fun.
Got to
So
get that Kellen solo record together.
there you go. That's my next goal. Yeah. So I've been just kind of doing that stuff. I did learn a really nice little tune called "I'll See You in My Dreams" that is a really nice little one to go check out. It'll brighten your day.
As long as it wasn't after watching Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh god.
But yeah, so it's kind of like you went into the hyperbolic time chamber and did some
Yeah,
training and leveled up.
exactly.
Gave yourself COVID so you'd have some like restraints. It's like turning up the gravity in the hyperbolic time chamber.
Just staying in here and yep,
Hmm.
going for it.
Nice. Um, yeah, as far as my end, Gamma Paw has a show on the 30th, but it's very
Mm.
possible that could get canceled. There's
Yes.
Blast and Scraps. I don't know what you would call them. I don't know if it's like, I don't know, like a social awarenessy company type group,
Hmm.
whatever it is. They get a lot of things going on in Fort Collins, like how to do your own sustainable screen printing, and here's this event that helps these young kids like learn how to rap. And it's kind of like School of Rock a little bit, but a little more loose. It doesn't have like a specific location. But Gamma Pod, our first show last year, was put on by them, and
Uh-huh.
that was at Vindicate Foods. So it was like a food drive kind of thing. And I think it's kind of doing that and then bringing clothing for the houseless, as they put it, which is always interesting. I was like, oh yeah, houseless, not homeless. Everybody has a home, but people need houses, which I see what they're saying.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so Blast and Scraps, they had to cancel their first two events of the year already. So
Oh
there's like
damn.
two more after those. And the last one out of
Wow.
those two is ours. And we're like, we'll see.
Yep.
But if it gets canceled, that's our third show that we could have played, but the second that's been canceled due to COVID. So we're still only got one show under our belt, which sucks, but whatever. You got to
rough
do what you
time
got
for
to do.
shows. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Summertime, it'll get easier when you can be outside. There'll be a lot less cancelings, I'm sure.
Sure. Well, and we got another thing scheduled for April 1st. Hopefully that's not an April Fool's joke on us. I'm just like, haha, COVID again. But we also went to a band that's from Denver's show, and they had kind of reached out to us about maybe setting up a couple gigs in the future. And they were, let me see if I can pull them up on the phone here, what they described themselves as. But they were pretty good. They had like a Fugazi Gang of Four type thing going on. You ever listen to either of those bands?
I have heard some Fugazi.
Yeah.
Or not a lot, but.
So it's kind of that DC punk mixed with a little bit of the UK punk stuff from back in the day.
Nice.
And yeah, they describe themselves as swampy erotic punk blues.
Ooh.
I think that fit pretty well. I'm terrible with names, so I'm forgetting already, but the singer, we talked with him for a minute, and he's got a lot of stage presence, man. He was like kind of all over that stage, kind of getting near the edge, getting real dramatic, and you're kind of like, this is awesome, but is he gonna fall off the edge there? Like, he's kind of okay, he knows what he's doing, I guess. It's like twiddling a glass of whiskey and kind of even putting his hands on his hips, kind of doing like a Rolling Stones type thing.
Oh yeah, damn.
I was like, yeah, this guy knows how to rock a stage. So hopefully we get to share a stage with him and his band in the future.
Nice.
The rest of the guys are pretty cool too. And they had two openers. One was called Hail the Alien from Detroit. And they're a pretty bizarre duo, just like a bass drum duo with a bunch of weird little distortion on his stuff. And then before that, it was kind of like a punky 80s vaporwave thing called Cell Farm, like SELL. And yeah, that was like a trio. And so yeah, it was a good show. It was at the Coast in Fort Collins. Nice. And pretty cool little venue. So I don't know. You should see about coming down and doing a Swamp Donkey show there or something like that. Maybe Fakoshka, I don't know.
Yes.
But other music stuff. I guess as far as a new release goes, there was a new release from this like electronic DJ type artist named Burial, who had a pretty well-known album come out in 2007 called Untrue. But he, it could even be a she, what do I know? It's kind of a mysterious artist a little bit. But just released an EP called Anti-Dawn EP. And it's really nice walk around the house, relaxing noise kind of record. It's like, those haunted house records where it's just a bunch of creepy Halloween noises and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that, but soothing. And then there's little synths that just kind of come in like, and then just people like just in the background or like whatever.
Kind of like the Hummer.
The Hummer?
Yeah, that Devin Townsend ambient album. Yeah, does that. There's one part where I think it's like I don't know if like he recorded it or if it's like an actual like meditation tape he found. Just this like soft lady's voice telling you, imagine you're in a field, all this stuff.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's just very soothing. So I will give that EP.
They throw that in randomly.
Horn. No, that's not in there. I always want to restart this and just fuck. All right. That is 1 out of 3. Shall we move on from music? Got anything
Yeah,
else?
that's all I got.
Oh, I guess one other music thing, just maybe worth mentioning. There's a new album from the artist that a lot of people are into, The Weeknd. Some people
Oh, is that
call
a
him The
metal band?
Weekend, but
Oh,
it's, they spell it Weeknd, so it's Weekend to
that
me.
sounds like a metal band, like a high school metal band.
Nah, it's just this weird looking R&B guy.
Yeah, doesn't he like in the Super Bowl or something?
Yeah.
He was like in the cheese grater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That was him. So he released a new record called Dawn FM, which
Oh,
all I will say is I bet you that will be on the album of the year list at the end of this year for a lot of people. Probably not for you and me, but
no.
it's like, oh, this is a kind of interesting album conceptually for where it's coming from. And it's just like a positivity, psychedelic, weird radio station. Has a
Huh.
lot of guests on it. But the interesting element of it is that he got Jim Carrey on it. And
Huh.
he's like the
To do
radio
what?
DJ. He's
Oh,
like,
nice.
welcome to Dawn FM, where you can let it go, blah, blah, blah. And it's him being existential, weird Jim Carrey, which is, I guess, what he is now, is like weird
Yeah.
spiritual guru Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
So he has one song at the end of the record where he wrote the poem and he just, reads a poem over this music and stuff. The Weekends in the background singing a little. So I would
Ah,
say that's kind of worth checking out, even if you're not into The Weekend.
interesting.
Yeah,
I'll listen to the Jim Carrey tracks.
yeah. Just go to the last song on the album. It's even says like something something by Jim.
Gotcha.
So
No,
anyway, I gotta
nice.
say, if they're gonna be the pop artists of today, I like the experimentation. My favorite album of last year was the Halsey record with Trent Reznor, and that was
Mhm.
unusual. So
Yeah.
yeah, more of that.
Yep.
Still might
Mix it
not be
up.
my favorite thing, but yeah, mix it up, like you're saying. Um, have you seen any movies? I haven't really watched too many movies or anything.
We'll see. No, it's been a minute since I watched a new movie. Yeah. Again.
So I won't play the movie drop, but there is a little bit of entertainment stuff to get into, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I guess I would say I started watching that Beatles documentary, Get Back, on Disney Plus.
Oh
Have you
yeah,
started
yeah.
watching that?
No, I haven't yet. I still need to. What do you think?
It's interesting. It's very long,
I heard it
and you
gets
either
better.
have to be a big Beatles fan
Mhm.
or have been in a band. And
Ah,
if you've been
yeah.
in a band, it's really interesting and funny, and also like kind of gives you anxiety
Oh yeah.
because you like when they start like snipping at each other and like, well, I'm just trying to express myself,
Uh,
and if you just fucking listen to me,
uh,
I had a couple songs and you just like won't even let me play my songs, and oh my god, like I feel like we do this every time. It's just like the Beatles is like, well, who gives a fuck, man? It just, well, maybe I give a fuck. I just don't always want to be here, Paul. It's like, oh, god damn it, John. I'm not trying to be mean. Why you always make me the mean one? And Ringo's like,
oh.
drums.
Why are mommy and daddy fighting?
Oh, and George is just like, oh, who really worked on this? And I thought it'd be really nice if I had a couple songs on this record. Like, and he like might maybe plays like the best song idea
Yeah.
thus far in the documentary, and Paul and John are just kind of like, oh, yeah, but we're a rock and roll band or whatever, so what's that? It's
Is
just
that a song about an octopus?
and just like, oh my god, like it just gives me anxiety.
Oh wow.
But I realized something, and you've been in a band with me.
Yeah.
I think I'm Paul.
Well, not just because of the
Kind of
instrument.
like demanding, like, do that, you know, and it goes to chunk, 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 you know, 1, 2, and come on. And then just, I don't know, doesn't that sound a bit corny if we play it like that? Like, and just
Yeah.
kind of a little bossy. Try not to be, but I was kind of
Nice.
amazed by how much, and maybe it was different earlier on, but John just kind of hangs back. Yoko's
Huh.
sitting there. I got no qualms with Yoko. She's just sitting.
Yeah.
She's like just hanging out.
Like one of
Like,
her art installations.
and like for how much they're like sitting there, like going over this redundant same old shit. Like, kudos to Yoko actually for even
Yeah.
being willing to sit there. It's like, even if it's the fucking Beatles, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm gonna go get a sandwich.
Now you go listen to that album of her screaming, and you're like, oh yeah, I get it now.
I know that that's been talked about on plenty of podcasts, but that video was it Chuck Berry, like John Lennon and Chuck Berry playing, and then Yoko came on and just started making a noise.
Oh
And Chuck
yeah,
Berry singing, and his eyes get all wide, like, what the fuck?
yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Anyway,
stuff.
yeah. So it's a good documentary. It's just like, oh, fuck. I act a little bit like Paul sometimes.
Well, I
And
mean,
George is really talented. I kind of feel bad for him, but he is just kind of, I just thought guitar, it's like this expression of something more beautiful than. I don't have a good George. Who is the more like, ooh, talk down like this?
I thought
Like,
that
I
was
feel like
John.
George is a little more like, oh, this, it's like even lower.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Paul's like, oh, I'm just trying. I'm a little more impish and whimsical, like from the Walk Hard.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, now I understand that voice they do in Walk Hard for Ringo, though, too. Song about an octopus. It's just such a goofy ass fucking face through the whole thing. But kudos
Yep.
to Ringo, too, because he's just like hanging in there, just kind of quiet, like this. No, not like fucking that. Like, god damn it. Just, I was like, man.
When he does get it, he lays it down though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's gonna be the last remaining Beatle. Then he'll show him.
Yeah. Well, it's because he didn't wear his heart out, being all stressed.
Yeah.
And I will say that, yeah, George and Ringo's, their heads seem to be outside of the Beatles a little bit more, kind of talking about a movie they just saw, blah blah blah. And
Yep.
yeah, it is interesting. We still got plenty to watch, but that's what we've been watching. And yeah, it isn't. The only other thing I'll say about it thus far is that it is interesting to hear them talk about music, where they're talking about other artists that are coming out, and it's just like, well, no, it's like crazy. We could do a live show where it's like we could have some of these effects we've been doing in the studio like actually happen live, which would be a thing. And just, you're like, yeah, you definitely could.
Nah.
But yeah, they are known for all their experimentation and just how much that they are learning bits and pieces from other artists, and just, we got to be innovative and doing something new.
Yeah.
But there's like, by our standards today, it's just like, oh yeah, no, that's a great idea. You guys should go with that. That ends up being really cool in the future. I wish I had more concrete examples, but yeah. Anyway, so watch that.
Nice. I need to.
Yeah. And then you decide which Beatle you are.
Okay.
But Any other entertainment stuff before I get into the main story on it?
No, can't think of anything.
Well, I suppose the main story then this week, we're recording on the 11th, is Bob Saget passed away. So
Sad.
rest in peace to Bob Saget.
Indeed.
We got a little bit to talk about, but what are your thoughts on the guy? What do you know about him? What do you remember?
Well,
Was
of course,
he
I
a big thing for you?
not as like big as some people, and but more than others. Some people, like I kind of knew him from Full House first, of course, and then I remember that I heard that one song. I don't remember who did that. The "Who You Rolling With" Bob Saget song,
And
and I
then
was
it
like,
ends
wait,
with like,
what?
"Good night, Michelle."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then yeah, I was like, wait, what's Bob Saget's deal? Then I looked up some of his comedy. I was like, oh, nice.
yeah.
He's not the guy Full House all the time.
Hmm.
So that's about it. You know, just I've watched a few of his little clips of some comedy, and yeah.
All right. So there's a couple little things I guess I could mention real quick. Is I definitely was in the age group of watching Full House
Uh-huh.
and liking it quite a bit. And I was young enough that the schmaltziness of it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Like my age is not that far off from the Olsen twins.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between them and Stephanie, I think was the middle one.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I would watch that, and yeah, Danny Tanner, his character's name on that was definitely like a douchebag. I mean, even as a
Yeah.
little kid, I knew that. Like, he's like, what a fucking dork. And yeah, he was like, oh, well, I gotta clean everything in the house. Oh, yeah. Just like bumbly dad and all that stuff. And that's how I knew him. And then he did some made for TV movie, which I think was like sort of autobiographical. I could be wrong, but it was like, I remember being pretty young and seeing him in a scene where he's like getting a little too drunk
Uh-huh.
and just like kind of talking shit. And even that, it was a made for TV movie. So it wasn't like it got as dirty as he ended up getting. But it was like, oh, like that's weird seeing him like being filthy and more like human, I guess is the way to put it. But so I
Yeah.
got like my toes in just a little bit early. So it wasn't quite as shocking when he fully went, I'm going back into stand up and I'm just like a dirtbag, like with
Yeah.
language and sexual stuff and whatever. But I mean, America's Funniest Home Videos. I mean, I watched
Oh,
the shit
yep.
out of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I forgot about that. Yep, totally.
I hated his humor in that.
No, all the time on those. Yep.
Yeah, but still a great show, and I can appreciate what he was doing now a little better. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's family friendly, just being ridiculous. But
Yep.
so yeah, he kind of had that renaissance of being like the dirty comic that used to be the Full House dad. And I
Uh-huh.
had also known that he was the director of one of my favorite comedies, Dirty Work,
Oh.
which starred Norm Macdonald. So also rest in peace to Norm Macdonald. But yeah, Bob Saget was the director for that movie.
Oh, nice.
And so thanks to Bob Saget for giving me that. And also the Bob Saget roast is the one where Norm Macdonald had his famous roast of like just reading jokes out of an old joke book.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just like, your face looks like a cauliflower. And
Yeah.
then I think, yeah, Jim Norton came up and it's just like, Norm, watching your set was like watching Peter Fonda pick blueberries. And it just cuts to him. He's reading a newspaper and he folds it down. I'm sorry. Like, who wouldn't love to watch Peter Fonda pick blueberries? I was just like, oh, god damn. And part of that was all facilitated by Bob Saget. And
Yep.
so last little bit I'll talk about is Nick Lewis, a buddy of mine, and I, and one of his friends, sorry, I don't remember her name, we went to go see Bob Saget at Wise
Yeah.
Guys, and I think that's where it kind of all came together. Like we were just in like it was a smaller club. It might have been even smaller. I don't know. No, it was the same one that we saw David Tell,
Okay. Yeah.
but not the biggest room.
No.
David Tell, we were up on the side, kind of near the stage, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then this one, we were kind of more in the middle in the row. And so we're just sitting there. And when they announced him, he just comes up right through the middle, real quick, gets up on stage, and just boom, starts. And he would just start getting information from the crowd, like woman in a red sweater, fat guy in a hat, da 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 da. And you just see him like picking it up. And then he's starting in with like the dirty jokes. And you're like, all right, yeah, pretty solid, pretty funny. But then he starts weaving in the lady in red and the fat guy with the hat. And you're like, oh shit, like he's really working this crowd. And it just got funnier and funnier and funnier. He ended with a pretty solid, funny song on an acoustic guitar, weaving in these people in the crowd. And you're like, damn. It's like, I wouldn't say he's like one of my favorites, but in terms of just sheer ability and crowd work and just how much of a showman he is, like it's a huge loss. So
Yep.
Rest in peace to Bob Saget.
Indeed.
Take a sip of coffee for you.
Indeed.
And with that, let's get into this day in history and call it good.
Sounds good.
Oh, you know what the angels are gonna be doing as soon as Bob Saget shows up in heaven?
Nice. I did. That's the.
I'm waiting, Michelle. Ugh, it's dark. All right, let's pull this back up. Uh-oh, I gotta pull it up real quick. What was the last stand-up show you went to, by the way, while I'm looking this up?
That one, Doug Stanhope.
Right.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Can't believe I forgot about that. Man, I hope there's a point where COVID goes away enough that I could like maybe get pictures with comedians again.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I'm really happy I got the ones I have with
yep.
David Tell and Mark Maron.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we need to go to more shows, man, especially some that are getting up there. Got to make sure we see them before they're done doing what they do.
Yeah, for real.
So, this day in history, we are recording on January 11th. The featured event is Amelia Earhart's Hawaii to California flight. On this day in 1935, Amelia Earhart, one of the world's most celebrated aviators, made the first successful solo flight from Hawaii to California, a distance longer than that from the United States to Europe.
Oh, wow.
I didn't actually know that.
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's more distance like out there than between anything else on the globe.
Like you ever
between...
been to Hawaii?
No, I haven't.
It's maybe another goal. We should go see David Tell in Hawaii.
There you go. I wonder if he ever gets out there.
So, do you know a lot about Amelia Earhart?
No, I do. She did that, and
she did that. When was she tried to go around the whole world? Didn't she?
Like disappear or something?
Yeah,
her. Yeah, that's all I know.
So she's like Jimmy Hoffa. Like they're always trying to like. I think we found the body.
Yeah.
But yeah, kudos to her. Let's see about any other events that aren't too like in the muck with stuff. Oh, New Zealand mountain climber and explorer Sir Edmund Hillary, who with the Tibetan mountaineer Tenzing Norgay was the first to summit Mount Everest.
There you go.
He died at age 88 in 2008 on this day.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So Edmund Hillary.
Yeah.
Have you heard of him?
Interesting. Oh yes.
I have not heard of him. You got
I've
any
read a
little
lot of
tidbits?
Everest books. Well,
Really?
he has a place on Everest is called Hillary's Step, and that's where you see all the pictures of people waiting. It's usually Hillary's Step. It's like a 12
Oh,
foot little climb.
I just thought Hillary Clinton took that over too because she just wants power.
Yeah, different Hillary.
Yes. U.S. Surgeon General Luther L. Terry announced that cigarette smoking is linked to lung cancer in 1964.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Milk was delivered for the first time in glass bottles in New York City in 1878.
Jesus.
Yeah. Go back a little bit further, 1861, Alabama seceded from the Union, the fourth state to do so in the run up to the American Civil War. Luckily, after the American Civil War, Alabama became a bastion of reason and science and one of the best states in the United States.
Who wrote this?
Huh?
Who wrote this?
Alexander Hamilton, the first secretary of the U.S. Treasury, was born in the British West Indies in 1755, 57-ish. I guess they aren't totally sure what year. Notable birthdays, you got Mary J. Blige. She was always a pretty tasty singer.
Yeah.
Alexander Hamilton. So, and this one is not on this page. This is Britannica.com, by the way. There's a this day in history from the History Channel's website, and I'm not reading that shit. They're like, an ancient alien was born 5,000 years ago that still runs the government today.
The Egyptian god Horus.
But the dude who synthesized LSD, Albert Hofmann, was born today. I had to learn about that from the painter Alex Gray, the dude who does all the Tool artwork. Obviously, he's a big fan. So he's like, today on November 11th, the day of oneness, the love and healing power unleashed by the medicine you discovered continues to brighten souls around the world. Thank you for the discoveries and blessings of the psychedelic experience. So thanks, Alex, for reminding me of that.
There you go.
And with that, I'm going to get into a tiny bit of philosophy. How do you feel about the we're all one concept?
I don't know what it's supposed to even like really change about anything. If it had any truth to it, how it's supposed to be anything different. So,
well, to me, it's like kind of an obvious statement if taken as, yeah, we're all interconnected.
Yeah.
My life affects your life affects the life of the ant that just walked by you. You could kill that ant, you could let that ant keep going. If you keep going, you're going to die eventually, you're going to break down. Microbes and fungi and all this stuff, and fungi are going to eat you and break you down. You go into the dirt, and then you feed plants, and the plants give us oxygen to keep it all going. It's all interconnected, right? Science. But then there's this fucking woo-woo thing that people got to do with it, where it's like, no, we're all like one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively, which is like a Bill Hicks thing. And it's like, when I was a little younger and more in my psychedelic days, I'm not saying I'll never do it again. It's just, I'll get to a quote on that in a minute. But yeah, it was like Bill Hicks is like, yeah, life is just a ride and we're all experiencing ourselves subjectively and we're all one. And that sounded nice at the time, but the older I get, I'm like, I don't know. I think you're Kellen Gibbons, I'm Jacob Wayne Briner, and even though we're all connected, when I die, I'm dead.
Yeah, no, that's
And
yeah.
I certainly hope there's something beyond that, but that's all it is. Isn't that the ultimate faith? Is just that I hope so.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I hold the hope in my heart that there's something
That's all.
greater than
You don't need
just
to. You don't need to do anything other than that. That's the whole thing.
yeah. But
Don't need to
I
change a bit of
know
money.
I'm not going to crack the case on that.
No.
There's a lot of other things we can crack the case on to better explain the life we're all living together as one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
I.
don't know. Like this whole like we all are one consciousness feeding back into this whoa. It's I never liked it. I thought it was kind of creepy. Just weird. Takes the
Well,
zhuzh out of life for me.
I feel like it always comes from people who think they have everybody else figured out and have everything figured out.
Hmm.
And I feel like that might be a bigger part of why I never take the argument literally, because most people who say it are, I'm like, eh.
Yeah. And I mean that's the thing I will say about psychedelics is they do have a lot to offer. And I think that they're way better than most prescribed medication that people take. And that being said, there is a lot of downsides to them if not done responsibly. And obviously
Uh-huh.
too much of a good thing is a bad thing. And there is that element where I've done acid in the past and you're like, oh, I see why the US government tried to do experiments with this to do mind control stuff, this and that, because it's very suggestive stuff. It's like
Mhm.
obviously it's exaggerated by the stories of somebody jumping off a roof because they
Oh yeah.
thought they could fly. It's like, no. It's kind of more like you're the guy in the back of the room sitting there and you're like, could humanity fly if we just all collectively believed that we could? And then you'll get in a loop on that in your brain. And then you start feeling like people can hear your thoughts because I don't know what it is scientifically, but stuff just seems to have synchronicity to it. So
Yeah,
that's why you can throw on like a fucking album and watch a movie and it seems like it goes together perfectly
big time.
because your brain is just like firing at all cylinders, creating connections way
Uh-huh.
quicker than it normally would. That's why when you wake up the next day, you're like, "Bleh, I'm fried, my brain." And it's just like, go watch that same movie and listen to the same album and talk to me
Like,
about
what is
synchronicity.
this?
You're just like, yeah, it kind of worked. You know, and I think it's the same
uh,
thing with the oneness concept is you do feel really connected with everything, but
mhm.
obviously the woo-woo types who I think are people that just can't let go of religion. They want to put
Yep.
spirituality and meaning and symbolism into something else. If they can't have Jesus, it's going to be something else. And
Yep.
that's kind of where I take that.
Yeah.
But in a very generalized way, yeah, we are all one. And we are all in this together. And so we should take care of the planet instead of
Yep.
doing too many drugs and shivering in the corner like the Illuminati is not going to let us do anything about it.
Yeah. Good
Like, no,
plan.
no, no. Politicians, they're flawed, they're human. We can make them take action on this shit.
Yep.
The world is not controlled by the all seeing eye.
Nope.
It's definitely controlled by a lot of moneyed interests and different little groups that infight with each other, whether that be Russia, the United States, or like some rich fucking family. Jeff Bezos.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, I could buy that, but they're just as human and fallible as us.
Yep.
Want people to put nice things in their buttholes and have their sexual pleasures,
Indeed.
eat a
Well,
steak.
there
It's
you
not
go.
that complicated.
Nope.
Anyway, that reminds me of a thing. I'm going to paraphrase a quote by Maynard James Keenan,
Oop.
who's the singer of Tool, who obviously Alex Gray, very psychedelic rock band. But he said something along the lines that doing a psychedelic is informative, and it does show you a different way of looking at reality and society and all this stuff. But the whole point is that you try it, then you have that time in your life, and then you spend the rest of your life trying to get to that same place without the drug.
Yeah.
Is like realizing all those connections and that without the need for the chemical constant drip.
Yeah.
And George Carlin, great comedian, also rest in peace. He also spoke of basically, if you're paying attention, drugs inform you of their own disuse. That there's a moment where you're doing them and you realize it's taking rather than giving at a certain point. And so that's just like, yeah, that's just why you have to let certain things go. And I'm also going to reference something else, and I wish I could remember exactly what it was. This might be another comedian. He's the guy that does like that Batman on College Humor. Can't think of his name.
Yeah, wow. So long, man.
If you can think of his name, let me know. But he had a really good point in an interview on a podcast, which I like to share in relation to all this, that basically when you're looking to go out and have that night getting really drunk and fucked up with your buddies, you're trying to capture that moment where you felt alive and you were present in the moment. And so a lot of people chase that by like, well, I'm just going to get fucked up that exact same way this weekend, and then I'll achieve that same happiness, when in reality, yeah, the beer was helping and you were drunk, but part of what made that night so amazing was that it was raining outside and the light was hitting the mountains just so, and the air was fresh, and you felt good because you had a good meal that didn't make you too full, but you weren't hungry anymore. And it was all these little factors that made you zone in and be like, wow, what a great fucking night. And yeah, it's not the beer. The beer can help a little bit. The weed can help a little bit. Maybe the mushrooms. But yeah, you have to find that awareness of the presence within yourself. And yourself is all you can really worry about. And you are you and I am me. We're not all one. You have your own way of going about things. I have my own way of going about things. So
that's fine.
We're all in this together. I don't think we're all one.
Yep. There you go.
So we're going to call this episode Day of Oneness in honor of Albert Hofmann.
There you go.
And anything else before we get out of here?
No, I think I'm good. We'll see everybody next time.
Well, one quick thing to go over. We are going to be recording earlier more often.
Indeed.
And your schedule's getting a little wonky. Mine's getting a little wonky. So we might bank a couple episodes here and there. We are more of a weekly information kind of podcast, I've noticed, as time goes on.
Yeah.
So we'll try to not do that too much, because obviously if we're talking about something that happened 2-3 weeks ago, it's not as good as catching up with us weekly. So there will be some solo episodes. Maybe we'll get some in that are only 20-30 minutes, whatever. But we're kind of adjusting and kind of seeing what works, and we're looking into doing a Twitch stream as well, but that's a whole other thing to figure out. We're busy men.
Indeed.
We appreciate you listening, though. And if you want, you can donate to my PayPal at ArtJWB. We could set up a PayPal for this podcast at some point, but for now, that's just the hub to throw it in there. And then trust me, I'll split it with Kellen. He's hearing me say that right now.
There you go.
But with that, 2022, it's good to have you back on, Kellen, and we'll see you next time.
See you, Nate.
Thank you for listening to The Jacob Wayne Show. If you would like to contact us, please write us at fogkoshka@gmail.com. That is FAKOSHKA@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Simply search The Jacob Wayne Show and it should pop right up. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Please write us. It helps add content to the show and makes the show even better for you, the listener. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the